Hi guys, I'm Jasmine, and welcome to Be an MD. I wanted to give you guys a first year recap video. I should have did this a while ago, but I just haven't had time, and I'm going to get into why. So let's just jump into it. Starting from the top, I'm gonna just give you a summary. First year was hectic. It was crazy. There was a lot of ups and downs, but I think overall it was good. Like, it was definitely a good experience. I'm glad that I had the experiences that I had at the beginning and not later on, because I think it's helped me grow a lot as a student and as a person and as a future physician. One thing about med school, it will test you. It's going to test you physically, emotionally, intellectually, and all of the things above. And so if you haven't really sat with yourself, looked within, thought deeper, tackled your anxieties or any depression or anything, it's going to come and get you in med school. I promise. It just is, because this is it's a high stress environment, but you learn the deal. And overall, like, yeah, I think I wish I would have done some things differently from the beginning, but I think it all worked out for my best benefit in the end. So yeah, so let's get into it. I have a list. So the first thing I want to talk about is failing. So Mariah and I, when we first started this, we committed to being 100% transparent and letting you guys know, every bump in the road and step in the way, because, that's what we'd want to see. Like, we want to see the good, bad, and the ugly. So we want to show the good, bad, and the ugly, just so, it's kind of therapeutic for us, and it helps you, maybe not make our mistakes and come out better. And that's all we want to do. So with failing, I failed a lot during first year. I failed our very first unit. I failed our second unit. And then I also failed our fifth unit. Basically, our curriculum is separated into organ systems, and each organ system is a unit. With that being said, so you have quizzes and then a final unit exam. If you fail the complete unit, or if you fail the final unit, if you fail the unit as a whole, that's really what it is. If you fail the unit as a whole, then you have to retake the end of the unit exam, and that's called remediation. If you fail that at that point, then you have to report to the board, the academic board, and they basically tell you either you have to repeat the year, either you can get kicked out, or if you have an extenuating circumstance, they'll tell you what you need to do. But all things go through them at the end of the day. They're the ones who promote you to the next year in general, even if you pass everything. Like, they literally look and review everything and like, oh, well, should we promote this person or should we not? So anyway, yeah, so overall my first year I failed 3 units. Unit 1 was mostly like pediatric medicine type things, kind of. And I say kind of because they call it the pediatric unit, but I don't feel like it was really pediatric. It was more immunology. Unit 2 was GI, so gastrointestinal system. So that's like your liver and your intestines and your rectum and your stomach and gallbladder, things like that. Oh, and I guess technically like your esophagus too. So stuff like that. And then for me, Unit 5 was our cardiopulm unit. And so those are the units that I did poorly. So after Unit 1, I was just kind of like, okay, this was your first real unit. Because we do a unit before Unit 1 called Intro to Medicine, and it's pass-fail, and I passed that fine. past that, fine. We were going out every weekend, we being my friends, having fun, you know, spending way more money than we should have, but, you know, it was easy. So I thought going into unit 1, oh, it's going to be fun. I got this. Unit 1 said, child, you can't do the same things you were doing before, because, honey, no. So, yeah. So unit 1 got me, and I was like, okay, that's fine. So unit 2, I come around, I started talking to some people trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do different, how should I change? And that's when I learned about all of the resources and practice questions. So there is a long list of resources that I had no idea about, that a lot of people use during med school, just because, you know, you can't get all that you need to from going to class. There's just so much information, like the professors can't teach it all. And so, you know, some of the information you need, you're going to have to get from elsewhere, and that's okay. But you need to, you know, put that in your study plan and know that from the jump, so that you don't end up, you know, thinking, oh, I'm gonna just read PowerPoints, because no, you're not gonna get all you need just from the PowerPoints. Like, no, this is not undergrad, this is not grad school, this is medical school. It's different. It's built different. So yeah, and so with that being said, I got a list of resources that I will probably put in the information box or something, or across the screen or something, that I learned that I needed to use. And so once I started utilizing those and doing practice questions, which I also wasn't doing, things started to get better. But I still didn't end up passing GI. I was very close, but, you know, I think I didn't know what I was trying to use everything, and that's not good either. Like, you don't want to use everything. You pick your 3 that are good and you stick with that, and make sure you do 3 passes through your information. And I'll kind of get into that. Well, I guess I'll get into it now. So when I say 3 passes, we always say, you know, if you see it 3 times, then you know it. You should know it decently well. So my first pass is usually like rewatching a lecture or class. My second pass is usually the videos from one of these extra resources or reading. And then my third is I go back through first aid. So first aid is like your med school Bible. So they have first aid and first aid organ systems. I mostly just use first aid, but sometimes I will go to organ systems, because what first aid doesn't go into detail about, organ systems does. And first aid is like, it's basically like a summary book. Like, it's going to tell you everything that you need to know about everything for your step exam, which is essentially what we're studying for. Like, you know, we're studying so that we can pass our boards, and then so that we can be good doctors. Like, you know, but, you know, you need more than just information to be a good doctor. But if you get the information, at least you can get past, you know, your boards. So it's kind of important. So yeah, so first aid. So yeah, so I'll glance through it before each unit, but I really don't go through it until my third pass, and that's when I will look it up. And essentially, if it's not in first aid, then I don't spend as much time on it. If it is in first aid, that means I need to know that like the back of my hand. Like, I need to know it well, because that's the high yield information. So unit 2, I feel like I was trying to use every different type of resource that everybody told me. Like, I was doing Pathoma and Boards Beyond and Osmosis, and I think I tried Anki and online med ed. Like, there's a long list. Like, and I tried it all, unit 2. And so, yeah, I think I just had too much going on, and I didn't do enough practice questions. And so that's why I didn't do as well as I needed to. But unit 3, we came back. Unit 3 was musculoskeletal system, and your girl got it. She got it. I did well. I didn't just pass, I did well. So that was good. And for that, I really narrowed down my resources to really just USLMERX, Boards and Beyond, and Osmosis / Pathoma, because Pathoma is just pathology, So I'd use that for path, but I really didn't look at pathoma until like the day before my exam. Like that was really like my review. But osmosis was my teaching tool. Osmosis and RX questions. And that I did really well with that. So yeah. So that was the first semester. At the end of that, like I said, I had failed 2 units, and so I was just kind of like, all right. So because I failed 2, I had to retake both of those exams. If I would have failed a third, they would have made me go in front of the board, but luckily I didn't. So yeah, so I retook those exams and I passed, and everything went well. Not to mention in between there, I had COVID, so that was a whole thing. Like being a COVID medical student, it's tragic, but you know, but I mean, luckily we got to go in person, but we were tested weekly and always masked up, and you know, Meharry does a really good job of trying to keep it a safe environment while also trying to keep us in class, because just statistically, more people do better when we're in person. So yeah, so moving on to second semester. Second semester was a challenge because it was like I was coming off of COVID, coming off of both of those exams. I got past unit 4, which was heme-oncology, which is actually what I want to go into. So woo. And then unit 5 was cardiorespiratory, and baby, that cardiovascular system is nothing to play with. So it got me good. Cardio was so difficult, and I think it was really just understanding the physiology, because there's a lot of it, and you know, and through that I realized that you were going to have to study a little differently for each unit. Like you will not study for every unit the same. For cardio, I definitely did more boards and beyond, pathoma, and Kaplan practice questions. I stopped using USL and ERX, and I did Kaplan practice questions. Because just the way that the questions are asked in medical school, they're multi-stepped, and I feel like the first semester we didn't really get a lot of like 4 or 5 step questions. It was more like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 steps, and then you got your answer. But with the cardiovascular system, things got kicked into gear, and so we were looking at these 5 and 6 step problems where you might have to, you know, you diagnose the patient, you need to know the physiology of the disease, you need to know what is normal, you need to know what to treat it with, you need to know why you treat it with that above something else, and then you need to know how that affects the person's system, and then like the side effects and everything. Like, you know, you need to know it from 15 different ways, and I think that's really what I struggled with. And so I took the remediation exam for cardio, and I did not pass. And so that was like probably my lowest point, because at that point I was like, I don't know what to do. Am I gonna get kicked out? I don't think I'm gonna get kicked out, but I don't know. And so I went in front of the board, and it was decided that I would have to redo that unit and during the summer, so that instead of spending my summer doing research, I spent my summer redoing my cardiovascular and pulmonary unit, which, you know, it's okay. And this is why I said we're going to be completely transparent, because when I tell you I was upset, I'm gonna just leave it at that. I'm being transparent, but I'm gonna leave it at that, because if I go any deeper I will go on a rant. But you know, we pushed through and we prevail. And I passed, and I didn't just pass out, I did very, very well. And I finally got it, and I finally understood it, but I really had to break it down. So I'm saying all of this to say it's okay to fail, especially in your first year and in medical school in general, because it doesn't matter that you fail. What really matters is how you come back. So, you know, like I didn't do well, but I kept pushing, I kept fighting, I kept, you know, trying to find, okay, what's going to make me get this information? How do I make sure I'm retaining? How do I make sure I'm doing well? How do I make sure I got it? And by doing that, I think I really, you know, it really showed me it not showed me, but I had to consistently remind me of how much I want this. And yeah, so I mean, it was a journey, but we made it through. We're going to be in 2. We're still pushing along. And yeah, so just, like when you get there, if you fail an exam, it's okay. That's fine. So how are you going to correct it? Where did you go wrong? What do you need to do to, change it so you can succeed, so you can do better? That would be my advice, just keep pushing. It's okay. Yeah, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about was, relearning how to study, which is, I kind of touched on it, but I'll touch on it a little more. So during undergrad and grad school, I really, looking at it now, I didn't really study. Like undergrad, I definitely didn't study. Like my friends would be studying next to me and I'd literally be asleep. You can ask Mariah. She probably has pictures of me like sleep in like the study room while they're studying. But we made it through. I was okay. And then I went to grad school, and grad school, my version of studying was, I'm going to click through the PowerPoints the night before the exam, and then I'd come out and make like a B or sometimes an A. Like I wasn't doing anything in depth, so it wasn't bad. And my GPA for grad school was pretty decent. So, that was just how I studied. It was fine. And then, but coming here, so I guess for the first intro to medicine unit, I kind of did the same, and I didn't do well on like a couple of quizzes because and that's when I realized, it's like, okay, Jasmine, you actually need to study. So then I started like taking notes on my iPad and drawing things out, and I started doing way better. So I was like, okay, so I need to go a little bit further. And I thought that was going to be okay going forward, but as I told you before, I didn't do well. So I was like, all right, so let's change it again. So I changed it. Now I type my notes on my laptop, and I make a document for each unit, and so I take all my notes there. So I'll type them as I go to lecture or watch videos or whatever, and then I'll kind of match them with first aid and like highlight the high yield things, and or like points that certain professors pointed out, like, oh, you need to know this, stuff like that. And so my notes have gone from non-existent to a 70-page Word document with highlights and bolds and bullet points. And we've made a total 360. So I had to really learn how to study in this first year of med school. So if you already know how to study, that would help a lot. But if you don't, it's okay. Just be patient with yourself, and don't be afraid to switch it up and like try new things along the way, because you don't want to waste time doing the wrong thing and then not do well. That's something that I had to realize, because I'm the type of person, I'm like, well, maybe it'll work, if we just no, Jasmine, no, it's not working. You tried it once, it didn't work, move on to the next. Like, and that's what you need to do. If it's not working for you, stop it right there, move on. Practice questions, I think I mentioned that practice questions are big. The more practice questions you do, the better, because the better you'll probably do in your exams, because most of your exams are going to be more application based. They're not going to be like, is strep gram positive or gram negative? No, it's going to be, this child comes in complaining of a sore throat for XYZ amount of time. He has a temperature of this. Culture is done, and you see these results, and then we run these labs, and these are his labs. What do you feel like the best pharmacotherapy is for him? Like, those are the questions. So you need to get used to seeing questions like that and applying the knowledge that you've learned. Like, they're not going to be gimme questions. Like, very rarely have I seen, I think, a gimme question, even on our quizzes, which are in-house. Our end of the unit exams are NBME, which those are the people who write our board exams. But our quizzes are, they're in-house, so the professors just write those. But, so it's like, yeah. So, the more you see that NBME style questions, the easier it's going to get for you to answer them. So practice questions, practice questions, practice questions, practice questions. I've mentioned some of the resources I like to use already, so I won't go back over those. Other ones that other people use are Dirty Medicine, Anki, Ninja Nerd, Sketchy for Farm and Micro, and UWorld. Yeah, but I don't really use those as much. My main ones are definitely Board and Beyond, Pathoma, and Osmosis. And then for questions, I do USLME-RX. Oh, hold on. Okay, sorry, I had people coming into my apartment to spray. But anyway, resources, yes. So for questions, I use USLME-RX and Kaplan. Kaplan questions are really good for the cardio and poem unit. At least for us, they were very indicative of the test. For all the other units, I really liked RX because I feel like those more so mimicked the tests that we got. But you know, every school is different, so it just depends on the NBME questions your school selects, or if they do get the questions from NBME. So yeah, so that's resources and practice questions. Oh, the next thing I have is you have to be okay with the learning process. Just be patient with yourself. I'm not saying that you will fail unless you're some perfect, great person. I love that for you. Great. 9 times out of 10, the average person, i.e. like me, you're going to fail something, and that's okay. Just, you know, don't be too hard on yourself. And like I was saying before, you really got to shake back from it and adapt. Like that's this whole first year. It's okay. Do something, see the results, adapt. Do something, see the results, adapt. And then once you find something that clicks, sit on that. Sit with it. Don't change nothing. Stick with it, because it should work. But you know, some units are a little bit difficult. You might need to switch it up a little. If you take a quiz and you don't do well and you see that what you're doing isn't working for that particular subject, okay, then change to something else. Like, don't make it a drastic change. It might be, like I said, like doing one question bank versus another, or watching one type of video versus another, or, you know, typing your notes versus drawing a picture or something. Like, I definitely drew more for our MSK unit and our cardio unit. Like, let me see if I can pull on it. Here's some of my notes for MSK. So as you can see, like, I went in there, like I was drawing this stuff out and, you know, taking my notes. I had to write down the tracks and then draw it again, and then when I didn't know, I drew it again. Like, yeah. So that's what I mean, like different strokes for different folks, different things for different people. But if you know, like, if you're a visual person and you gotta see it, see, like, I drew it again. Like, if you're a visual person, you gotta see it. Don't be afraid to, like, take out your little pen and your little paper and literally draw a picture. I drew a little for cardio as well. So, yeah. Just, you know, like I said, be patient with yourself and okay with the learning process. It's going to take time for you to get the hang of it. I mean, that's why there's a learning curve. It is what it is. Just let it happen. The next thing I wanted to talk about was making friends. So, people who I know who've been through this told me that your med school friends really become like your family. And that's true. We would pray together before every exam. We party together after every exam. We cry together when things just got hard. If life things were going on, you know, we were there for each other. I mean, we still are. I talk to them all the time. We do mental check-ins all the time because we realize, like, this is hard and it's a lot. We'll have our, like, little movie nights and, you know, we laugh, we fun, laugh through the pain type of stuff sometimes, or sometimes just laugh to laugh. I mean, you know, like, I was worried about making friends only because I'm social, but I don't always like to talk to people. And I was like, coming in here, I was like, okay, I just want to focus. Like, I don't really need friends. I just want to, get through this. But lo and behold, day one, like, we all went to brunch, and bam, a friend group right there. And and there will be drama, because there was a little bit of drama, but I mean, at the end of the day, we all, you get through it. We all have each other's backs, because we know that, this is a lot, and we really care about each other. Like, I have some people that I've met that I know for a fact will be in my life forever, and they're stuck with me now, and I'm stuck with them, and that just is it. So yeah, don't, if you're worried about making friends, don't be, because you will. And when you do, like, hold on to them, because they're going to be your backbone. Like, at my lowest moments, it was my friends who lifted me up and was like, Jasmine, you're gonna make it. It's gonna be okay. Like, we're gonna get you right. We're gonna help you, And they did. And, and then sometimes I helped them if there's something that I was better at. Like, that's just what you do. Relationships. So medical school is very hard on relationships. As some of y'all might know, I was in a relationship when I first got to medical school. I am no longer with my boyfriend. Without getting into too many details, he's a great guy, nothing bad. This is a lot of pressure. Like, it's a lot, and you need somebody who is kind of okay with, like, being in a relationship by themselves sometimes, because there were times where I wouldn't talk to him maybe for a couple of days, but it's because I couldn't, because I was studying. I'd be like, all right, like, I have a test this week, so I might go silent, then after the test I might pop back up, and that's just because the type of person that I am. When I'm doing something, I give 100% to it, so it gets easy for me to neglect those other relationships. And it's not because I don't love or don't care about those people. Even with friendships too, like, half my friends I don't talk to as much as I used to, just because I don't have the time. I'm like, if you're not talking to me about the things that I'm going over right now, I can't give you that much energy, just because, at that point it becomes a distraction. And I can't afford distractions, because, as you see, like, this first year was not easy, so I'm going to do my best to not have any hiccups the second year, and, so I can keep trucking and keep pushing forward. But yeah, so, I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend just because I felt like I couldn't be the girlfriend that I needed to be during this time, for him, because he, has his things too. And so that's really what that is. And, friendships, my friends know, if it's a text week, I'm gonna just leave her alone. She'll get back to me. They'll send me a text and I'll reply when I can. It might be a week later, but you will get that response. They've definitely learned that. And, so, like, the people who love you will adapt. That goes with family too. Fortunately, my family is very understanding of my path and my journey. And so they're not, like, overbearing or like, oh, you never come around. Like, no, they don't do that stuff. They're like, oh yeah, that's Jazz. She's doing medical school, but we'll see her for a holiday probably. And we kick it, and it's fine. I know some people's families aren't necessarily like that. Some people's families are more like, well, you never call and I never see you and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But that's just not fair, because it's like, and like I said, unless you've been through this, they don't understand. Like, you really don't have the time for all that. And so for my friends whose families are like that, they just have to sit and have a conversation with them and be like, hey, yo, look, I can't, give you the attention that you want. And it's not that because I don't love you, because I don't want to. I don't have the time. Like, I have to immerse myself into this. And then, after a while, they either understand or they don't. And then you have to make that decision. Either you need to cut them out, or you need to, figure something out. Because, like, I'm a family-oriented person. I hate cutting out family. But I do have friends who did end up having to cut out their family just because they didn't get it. And, and that's the decision they made, and that's okay. So yeah. Time management. So yeah, that's always been a weakness for me, and I think it shows. It shows. So, but what has helped me with time management is just really getting organized. So, I have sometimes I plan out my weeks like when things get really hectic, and I'm about to show you. I'm gonna pull up a schedule that I made. So first of all, I have this is our class schedule. I keep that on deck, like at all times. I just download it just so I can always see. But I also make these weekly planner schedules where I literally schedule out everything from doctor's appointments to class to when I'm gonna study to when I'm not gonna study. I write down what I'm gonna study, and it's color coded, so I can just glance at it and be like, okay, I have that today. I said I was gonna do that today, and and whatnot. And so the planning it out, sitting down, I usually do it Sunday night, and I just plan out my entire week. It helps me a lot, and I might not get to everything on the list, but at least I see what I need to do and what I want to get to, and then I can adjust as needed as the day goes. So yeah, so that's just getting organized and things like that have helped me with time management, but that's definitely something that I would suggest trying to get a hold of early on. Another thing that happened this first year is I went to AMEC, which is basically a medical school conference for all of the minority medical students in the nation. So it stands for Annual Medical Education Conference, and it's ran by the Student National Medical Association, which is a baby version of the National Medical Association. So I went to the conference, and essentially the conference is for minority students across the nation, and they all come together at this conference, and let me tell you, it was a blast. I had so much fun, y'all. I had so much fun. It was so inspiring, and I think it came right when I needed, because I had just found out that I had failed cardio, and I was feeling really down. Up until that point, I don't think I had even questioned my path in medicine, but at that point, I was like, should I even be doing this? I don't feel like it was imposter syndrome, because to me, that's oh, well, how would I get so lucky to get here? No, it was more of a just, should I be doing this? Because I keep, stumbling. I keep having roadblocks. Is this where I belong? Is this really what, is meant to be? Up until that point, had always felt in my heart of hearts that, I was meant to be a doctor. And then that point, I was like, well, shoot, am I? Because, this keeps happening. It keeps coming up. But, yeah, but going to AMEC, it just it reminded me of why I wanted to be a doctor in the first place, because I feel like just the ripping and running through med school and of everything, I kind of forgot that. But being at AMEC, I reminded, and then seeing just all of these Black doctors. I grew up around some Black doctors, so it wasn't like I've never seen this, but it's just, I think being able to see so many med students who look like me and who are doing it, that was nice. And even though Meharry's at HBCU and I see it all the time, it was different, because these are people at other schools. It's us, it's the people from Hopkins, it's the people from Stanford, it's the people from Wayne State, it's the people from UT Southwestern, and we're all together and we're talking about it. And I'm like, oh, did you experience this? And they were like, oh girl, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, so it's not just me, we'll be talking about things, and it's you really see, you learn, okay, it's a shared experience, almost like a trauma bond. But it's just nice, to talk to them and realize that we're all doing and going through the same things, but we're making it. AMEC is beautiful, and everybody should go. It's a great networking opportunity too. I met some really cool people, and I got to network with some of the residency programs that I want to apply to. It got me thinking about residency. I've been thinking, but it really got me, thinking. And so it was great. And I think, and they have a pre-med section too. So if you're a pre-med and you'd like to go to AMEC, I 100% encourage it, because they do like application help. You can talk to the medical schools. They have like a whole medical school fair. They have like a what you should put on your application, like seminar, like different seminars for y'all. And it's great. It's a great experience. I did a suturing clinic. So yeah, so that was fun because I got to suture, and I don't know if I did good or bad, but I had fun. So yeah, it was great. Everybody should go, and I'm definitely going to go. If I can, I'm gonna try to go every year. I only have one more thing to talk about. Oh, so my feelings toward the experience and about starting second year. So all in all, this was good. Like, it was good. My first year, even though I had the roadblocks, I can't say I don't regret anything. Like, I definitely regret spending way too much money I should have saved. And I regret not starting to do questions and utilizing my resources earlier, because I feel like that would have helped me a lot. But aside from that, I don't regret anything, and it's been a great experience, and I'm so excited for this next year, because in 2 years for Meharry's curriculum, we start clinicals in like March. So yeah, so I'm excited for that, and I think it feels more real. We have 4 units left in our preclinical years. And that's neuroendocrine, reproductive, and psych. So we'll see how it goes. I'm praying that it goes well. I feel like I have a better handle on what I need to do now and how to study. So yeah, I'm excited. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted as much as I can. Please be patient with me. I'm sorry that it's taking me this long to even talk about my experience in this, but like I said, just please be patient. I will get videos out as soon as I can, and yeah, see you later. Bye.